Ever get that feeling like you're drowning in information, trying to learn something new, and it's just too much all at once?
Yeah, totally.
You just want someone to cut to the chase and tell you what really matters.
Like what actually works.
Exactly. So that's what we're doing today, folks. We're diving deep into flipped classroom.
I have classrooms, yeah.
You've probably heard the term. Basically, it's the idea of moving those traditional lectures outside of class.
Like watching videos or doing readings beforehand.
Right. And then using that precious class time for more hands-on stuff.
More active learning.
And our mission today is to really figure out what the evidence says about this approach.
What does the research tell us about how people actually learn best in this flipped model?
Exactly. And we really want to ground this in the science of learning.
Like the cognitive processes that make different learning activities effective or not.
Because here's the thing, what feels like good learning to us isn't always what actually is good learning.
Oh, yeah, that's so true.
I mean, think about it. Have you ever crammed for a test?
Oh, yeah,
And you feel like you know it all.
You're like, yeah, I got this.
But then you take the test and...
We totally blank.
Right. And there's actually some fascinating research on this. Back in 2008, two psychologists, Cornell and Bjork, did this study where they showed students paintings by different artists.
Okay.
Some students saw the paintings grouped by artists,
Right.
like all of Picasso's together, then all of Monet's.
Right.
And other students saw them all mixed up.
So Picasso, then Monet, then back to Picasso.
Exactly. And guess what? The students who saw them mixed up actually learned the artists better.
Interesting.
But most of them thought the grouped method was more effective.
Wow. So they felt like they were learning better, but they actually weren't.
Exactly. So that's why we're not relying on just gut feelings today.
We're going to dig into the hard data.
Exactly. We're looking at what objective measures like test scores and actual performance tell us about learning in these flipped classrooms.
That's really important.
So the takeaway for you, listener, is don't always trust how you feel you're learning. Look for evidence of actual understanding.
Look for those results.
Now, before we get too deep into the weeds,
Yeah, good point.
it's important to remember that flipped classroom can mean a lot of different things.
Oh, yeah. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing.
It really depends on who's teaching it and what subject they're teaching.
Right. Like for that out-of-class component, some instructors might use video lectures.
It's a classic flipped classroom move.
But it could also be readings or podcasts or even specific homework assignments.
Or a combination of things.
Exactly. And then for the in-class time, it could be anything from group projects to debates to quick quizzes or even working through problems together.
So there's a lot of variation out there,
A huge range of approaches.
which actually makes it even more important to look at the research and see what's actually working.
Right, because just flipping a classroom doesn't automatically guarantee better learning.
Okay, so let's start with those out-of-class lectures. This is often seen as the heart of the flipped classroom model, right?
Swapping the live lecture for a video you watch at home.
Yeah. So what does the research actually say about how much these video lectures themselves impact learning?
Well, it might surprise you to hear this, but the evidence suggests that just switching from a live lecture to a video lecture doesn't automatically lead to better learning outcomes.
Really? So just putting a lecture on video isn't a magic solution?
Not necessarily. I mean, there was this study with nursing students back in 2013 where they compared learning from video lectures to learning from narrated PowerPoints.
So like slides with someone talking over them?
Yeah, exactly. And their quiz and exam scores were pretty much the same.
Wow, so no real difference.
Nope. And this isn't a new finding either. Back in 1985, they did a study with sociology students.
Okay.
And they compared learning via televised lectures to learning from in-person lectures.
So basically the same idea, just older technology?
Well, pretty much.
Hmm.
And again, test performance was similar between the two groups.
So it seems like the format of the lecture itself might not be the most important thing.
Right. And there was even research where they deliberately reduced in-class lecture time to make more room for out-of-class work.
So they were trying to free up more time for active learning, basically.
Yeah. And they didn't see any significant changes in student grades.
So the takeaway here for you, listener, is don't assume that fancy video production automatically equals better learning.
It's not just about making a slick video.
It's what's in the video and how you engage with it that really counts.
Exactly. There's this idea proposed by an educational technology researcher, Richard Clark.
Okay.
He calls it the medium is a carrier theory.
Interesting name.
Basically, he argues that the delivery method,
Like whether it's video or text or a live presentation.
and all those different formats, he says that's not the primary driver of learning.
So it's not about the how it's delivered.
It's more about the what and how we interact with it.
So it's the content and our own effort that really matters.
Right. Now, there was this one study that found that interactive video lectures.
Like where you can pause and rewind and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Those led to slightly better performance on a single topic compared to standard videos or even a lecture with subtitles.
Interesting.
But the researchers were very careful not to overgeneralize from just one lecture.
Right. One study doesn't tell the whole story.
Exactly. We need more research to really see if interactive videos are consistently better,
Okay, so if those out-of-class lectures themselves aren't the magic bullet,
which it seems like they're not.
then the real power of flipped classrooms must lie in how that freed-up class time is used.
In what you do during that time.
Right. And the research highlights several promising in-class activities.
There are a bunch of different things that seem to work well.
So let's start with testing.
Testing.
Yeah. Things like clicker questions, open questions, quizzes, even just asking students to recall information from the pre-class materials.
Oh, yeah, like that quick check-in at the beginning of class.
Exactly. And it seems like this kind of testing is actually a really powerful learning technique in itself.
It's not just about checking if students did the reading.
It's about activating their memories and making them work a little harder.
It's called retrieval practice.
Retrieval practice.
Yeah. Basically, the act of trying to pull information out of your memory actually strengthens that memory.
It's like exercising your brain.
Exactly. And there's this phenomenon called the testing effect.
The testing effect.
Yeah, it's been studied for over 100 years.
Wow.
And it's one of the most robust findings in cognitive psychology.
So it's pretty well established.
Oh, yeah. And there was this huge meta-analysis by Paul Rowland.
He's a cognitive psychologist.
Yeah. He looked at tons of studies on the testing effect.
Okay.
And his analysis showed that testing leads to much better long-term retention than just rereading or restudying material.
So taking quizzes actually helps you remember things better in the long run.
Way better. So the key insight for you, listener, is the power of actively trying to recall information.
It's not just about getting the right answer.
It's about the effort itself.
And another interesting finding is that the specific format of that testing might not be the most crucial factor.
Like whether it's a clicker question or a flashcard.
Exactly. There was this study in a physics course.
Okay.
They compared using clicker questions to presenting the exact same questions on flashcards.
So the questions were identical, just the delivery method was different.
Right. And they found no significant difference in final exam performance between the two groups.
So clickers aren't necessarily better than flashcards.
It seems like the core benefit comes from the act of retrieval itself.
Whether you're clicking a button or flipping a card.
And this applies to quizzes on the out-of-class material, too.
Right. Those quizzes prompt that same valuable retrieval practice.
And if instructors give those quizzes before the main in-class activity,
Like before discussion or group work.
they can use the results to see where students are struggling.
And tailor their teaching accordingly.
Okay, so moving on from testing, what about pair and share activities?
Pair and share. Yeah, those are really common in flipped classrooms.
You know where you turn to the person next to you and talk about a concept for a few minutes?
Yeah, those are great. The research definitely suggests that group discussions can be really valuable for learning.
They help students go deeper.
Definitely. There are studies where students answered clicker questions individually,
Okay.
then they discussed their answers with classmates,
So they got to hear different perspectives?
and then they answered the clicker question again.
Okay.
And the results consistently showed that those discussions really helped.
Even if their initial answers were wrong.
Yeah, even then. The discussions helped them grasp the concepts better.
So just talking it out can make a big difference.
A huge difference. And this led to better performance on a second related question that they answered on their own.
So the benefits went beyond just that one clicker question.
Definitely. It helped them solidify their understanding.
And there was even one study that showed that the most effective approach was combining group discussion with an instructor explanation afterwards.
Oh, that makes sense.
So you get the benefit of both peer learning and expert guidance.
Yeah. So for you, listener, this highlights the power of articulating your understanding to someone else and hearing their perspective too.
It forces you to think things through more clearly.
Definitely. Now, you might be wondering about the size of these groups.
Yeah. Does it matter if you're working in pairs or groups of 4 or 5?
That's a great question. And the research does suggest that group size can influence the effectiveness of discussions.
Okay, how so?
Well, there was this study involving high school physics students,
Okay.
and they found that students in groups of 4 showed greater learning gains from their discussions compared to those working in pairs.
So bigger groups were better in this case.
In this case, yeah. The researchers thought that maybe larger groups just bring a wider range of viewpoints to the table.
You get more perspectives.
Exactly. And that can encourage more debate and critical thinking.
So it's not as easy for everyone to just agree and move on?
Right. But it's not quite as simple as bigger is always better.
Of course not.
Other research has shown that as group size increases, the dynamics can start to change.
How so?
Where you might see a few dominant voices taking over the conversation.
And quieter students might not get a chance to participate.
Exactly. So while larger groups can potentially foster richer discussions,
You also need to be mindful of making sure everyone has a voice.
absolutely. And some experts recommend aiming for groups of around 5 to 7.
For more complex tasks.
Yeah, when you really need to grapple with some challenging ideas.
So it sounds like finding that sweet spot is important.
Finding the right size for the task and the group.
Okay, so moving on from group discussions.
Okay.
Another activity we often see in flipped classrooms is student presentations.
Oh yeah, where students present their work to the class.
Exactly. So what kind of learning benefits does the research point to here?
Well, one of the key things is what's often called the learning by teaching effect.
Learning by teaching.
Yeah. It turns out that the very act of preparing to teach something to others.
Even if you don't actually end up teaching it.
Exactly. That preparation process seems to significantly enhance your own understanding and retention of the material.
Wow. So just the act of getting ready to teach helps you learn.
It really does. There was this study where students were told they would have to teach a text passage later,
Okay.
and they actually performed better on a test about that passage.
Even though they didn't end up teaching.
Exactly. And when students did teach the material, their comprehension was even better.
So actually presenting it boosted their learning even further.
Yeah, it seems like teaching others forces you to really engage with the material.
You have to understand it well enough to explain it to someone else.
Right. And this benefit could be related to the idea of generation in cognitive psychology.
Generation.
Yeah, it's the idea that when you actively create or produce information.
Like when you're writing a presentation or coming up with your own examples.
Exactly. When you do that, you tend to encode and remember that information much more effectively.
Compared to just passively reading or listening to it.
Exactly. So for you listener, think about how explaining a concept to someone else.
Or even just writing about it for yourself.
Yeah, that can really help solidify your understanding.
So it seems like the more students have to actively generate content for their presentations,
Rather than just summarizing existing material.
the more they're likely to learn themselves.
That's what the research suggests.
If students are just reiterating facts and figures,
They might get some benefit from the review.
but if they're really grappling with the material,
Synthesizing concepts, connecting them to other ideas, bringing in their own examples.
making the material their own.
Exactly. Then the learning benefits are likely to be much stronger.
So it's really about encouraging that deeper level of engagement.
And that creative process.
It's not just about regurgitating information.
It's about making meaning.
Okay, so we've talked about testing group discussions, student presentations.
Yeah, those are some of the key activities we see in flipped classrooms.
And it seems like the real power of this approach.
It's not just about shifting where the lectures happen.
It's about intentionally using that class time for activities that get students actively involved with the material.
Making them think, making them talk, making them teach.
And it seems like these different active learning techniques actually work best in combination.
Yeah, they complement each other really well.
The flipped classroom model provides a great opportunity to integrate multiple methods.
You could have students engage with an out-of-class video, then take a quick quiz, then have some small group discussions, and then maybe even finish with student presentations.
So you're hitting all those different angles.
And the way those activities are sequenced can make a big difference too.
How they build on each other.
Exactly. There was actually one study that found that flipped classrooms that incorporated a wider variety of active learning techniques.
So they weren't just doing one or two things.
They were mixing it up. Those classrooms saw better student success rates and higher exam scores.
Compared to classrooms that only used a few techniques.
So variety seems to be key.
Okay, so let's bring it all together for you, the listener. What are the key takeaways from our deep dive into the research on flipped classrooms?
Okay, well, first off, it looks like video lectures alone don't dramatically improve learning outcomes.
They're not the magic solution some people might think they are.
The real benefit of flipped classrooms comes from the opportunities they create for active learning during class time.
Like all those activities we've been talking about.
Exactly. And second testing, whether through quizzes or clicker questions or any other format, is a super effective way to strengthen memory.
That retrieval practice is really powerful.
It's all about making your brain work to recall information.
And the format of the testing seems to be less important than the act of recall itself.
Third, engaging in group discussions can really deepen your understanding and help you apply what you've learned.
Talking it out with others can be super beneficial.
And the size of the group can influence the quality of the discussion.
But it's important to be mindful of group dynamics and make sure everyone participates.
Definitely. And finally, preparing and delivering student presentations can boost your own learning too,
Because of that learning by teaching effect.
and the active generation of content.
And all of these techniques seem to work even better when they're combined strategically.
Yeah, flipped classrooms provide a great space for integrating all these different methods.
Now, of course, there's always more research to be done.
Oh yeah, definitely.
This research review highlighted the need for more studies that directly compare flipped and traditional classrooms.
Using consistent objective measures of learning.
We also need to keep exploring which specific practices within flipped classrooms are the most effective.
For different learning goals.
Which brings us to a really interesting question for you to ponder, listener.
Okay, hit me.
We know that students learn best when the material is challenging.
But not too challenging.
It needs to be that Goldilocks level of difficulty.
That's right.
And flipped classrooms often put more responsibility on the student for managing their own learning.
For figuring out how to study effectively.
So think about this. Does participating in flipped learning environments actually help students become better at identifying what and how to study effectively for themselves?
Does it help them become more self-aware learners?
Exactly. That's something to chew on.
And that's it for today, folks.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
We'll see you next time.